So thank you everyone for joining us today. I want to just jump right in here. So what we're going to do is first give you a little walkthrough and overview of what we're going to be talking about today, who we are, who MeazureUp is, and some of the discussion, introduce the panel, the esteemed guests that we have today, and from there open it up to some questions that you guys in the audience will have in addition to the questions that we're going to be doing during the panel. So first, we're going to be talking about some of just the industry specifics, some of the stats, some topics that have been going on in the industry just since COVID-19 really happened, and we'll start with that. So first, just about us as a background. So MeazureUp, we're a cloud-based software company. We work with restaurant chains, convenience stores, retail to ensure operational consistency with a strong focus by digitizing any of your daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly field assessment checklists, put on a phone or tablet so that your staff can do it digitally and get rid of that paper trail. Right now, we're in about 125 brands all over the world, from South Africa to the US to Hawaii to Canada and everywhere in between. We're in all different types of restaurants, QSRs, fast casuals, full service. A couple of our brands are on the right. You see we actually got Burger Priest on there. And Alex will be speaking from there. And then just to introduce us, so we've got Jason, who's going to be just in a little wave there. He's going to be speaking about some of the industry information. He's a junior associate here at MeazureUp. And then we've also got myself, CEO at MeazureUp, and I'll be kind of leading the panel when we get to that portion. So I'm going to pass it off to Jason now.
For sure. Thanks, Ray. So again, kind of reiterating what Ray just said, really want to sort of shape the problem before we jump into the details. So starting, why are we here? Obviously, coronavirus has hit and affected all of us, but it's really because of the restrictions that are being put in place by governing bodies to enforce social distancing. And those restrictions have forced 94% of restaurants to change in some way. If you look at the map we have on screen, you see the dine-in service is suspended pretty much everywhere. We're based out of Toronto, Canada. It's suspended across the entire country for now until at least June 30th. And we've seen that have a few different outcomes from there. So the first of which is layoffs. About 70% of restaurants have had layoffs in some form already. And that's resulted in about 800,000 food service jobs lost in Canada and over 2 million in the States. And I think the scary thing is that going forward, 50% of operators actually expect more cutbacks if things don't change soon. Going even further than layoffs, there's also been a number of closures. So 3% of restaurants are permanently closed already, and another 11% are actually expected to close down permanently if there isn't a change by the end of the month. One other thing that's obviously a huge negative as a result of COVID-19 is inventory. So it's a big scramble on restaurants in terms of the supply chain and the food that they have. With dine-in sales not there, there's obviously lower volumes, so there's a lot of food going to waste. But obviously the biggest impact of COVID-19 on the restaurant industry has been your bottom line, which is affected by sales. So across the entire industry, there's been a 47% reduction since March of 2019, with 36% fewer transactions. So people are actually ordering less, and they're spending less money when they're ordering. But there's actually been different impacts depending on the segment of the restaurant industry, which we'll get into in a minute. But we've actually seen a shift with that drop off in sales from 90 billion, which was the NRA's original projected spending in the restaurant industry, to about 50 billion. And we're seeing that come as a result of the shift from consumer spending on groceries as opposed to restaurants. Diving a bit deeper into each of the individual segments, we see that QSRs are hit a little bit less hard, losing about a third of their sales and 34% of their sales. And a lot of those restaurants are already prepared to scale up takeout, drive-through, and delivery. But again, there is still a natural drop-off because of less people out. If you look at a company like McDonald's that has about 70% of their sales come from drive-through, with just less essential workers and people social distancing, they will naturally see less people at the drive-through. But unfortunately, I don't think anyone has been hit harder in this whole crisis than full service restaurants, losing almost 3/4 of their sales and 85% of their traffic. And a lot of that's because a large part of their business is comprised of dine-in, and with dine-in closed, the shift to takeout and delivery is tough if maybe you didn't do it before, or if a lot of resources weren't there. So yeah, we're going to dive in a little bit deeper and asking our industry experts some questions about these specific industries. But is there even a point really? Like, do we have reason to believe that takeout will be successful? And to be honest, when looking at the numbers, they are a little bit bleak. Of course, before COVID-19, about 48% of sales were off premise. And now we need to scale that up to 100%. And we have some initiatives in place that help the restaurants out, like the Great American Takeout and Takeout Tuesday. But really, is takeout feasible? When looking at the data on this chart from nationalrestaurantnews.com, we see 4 different segments in the restaurant industry, and we see sort of all of their sales start to decline as of that week 10. And generally, you would look at this graph and think everything is tanking, but there actually is some positive that can be taken away from this. So I marked up this graph with 3 bands. The top band in green is actually NRA's initial sales projection for the industry before COVID-19. And this past week, they revised that projection and said that we are now projected to see a 17.2% drop in growth, marked by that red band at the bottom. If you notice which industries are in which bands or which segments are in which bands, the delivery aggregators are actually still in the green. They're actually still on target to hit that 3.8% expected growth. Whereas other segments like casual dining and fast casual are in the red. So there actually is a silver lining of that. Maybe this is a good opportunity to scale up takeout, and maybe if you do that, that could still be a profitable part of your business. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it back to Ray, and we'll get into the industry experts who will hopefully provide some more insight about solving these problems.
Thank you, Jason, for some of those facts there. Those were great to share. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of that, most of the people in the audience today will know anecdotally, but interesting to see some of the stats that have been gathered just in the last 2 weeks with how quickly things have been changing. So enough from us to get to the people that you really came here to hear from. I'm going to start by introducing our panel. Start with Dr. Mohamad Fakih. He's the president and CEO of Paramount Fine Foods and the winner of many awards in the past 2 years. A few notables, he won the Restaurant Canada Leadership Award in 2017, as well as Toronto Life's 50 Most Influential in 2017. He's a finalist for the EY Entrepreneur of the Year in 2013 and 2014. And he continues to support multiple charity causes, including the Canadian Cancer Society, Islamic Relief Worldwide, and Sick Kids Hospital. Next, we have Tom Missios. Tom is the CEO of ERC Consulting, the founder and concept development specialist at EPRG. He's a former regional manager, former franchisee, and independent restaurant owner with over 30 years of experience in the restaurant operations world, working with brands like Wendy's, Tim Hortons, and Quiznos. And to round it out, we've got Alex Rechichi. He's the president and CEO of Crave Restaurant Group, currently managing brands like Burgers Priest, Via Chibo, and Bangkok Brewery. Prior to Crave, Alex was the CEO of Extreme Brands, which owned Extreme Pita, Mucho Burrito, and total was about 300 locations across North America and internationally. Ultimately, Extreme Brands was acquired by MTY in 2013. And yes, we will be sharing the deck after the webinar. Thank you very much, guys. So from here, I'd like to now jump into some questions that we already kind of have some prepared. So the first question I'd like to ask the panel is, before COVID-19, was takeout and delivery a large portion of your business strategy? And if not, have you pivoted? And maybe we can just start with Mohamad.
Thank you very much for having me, and to all the people listening. I know it's very difficult these times to see the light, but from someone coming out of a war and lived some days inside a bunker, the light will come, trust me, and we'll rebuild again for sure. Yes, our business wasn't very big on delivery and takeout. It was a small percentage, 25% max, and even a bit less in a lot of locations. The difference when you, and I'm sure Alex agrees with that, when you have locations in airports, in malls, in shopping centers, in hospitals, in universities, a big percentage of your location will shut down automatically because all the surrounding is shutting down, and that's that's what they decided, and that's the safest part of it. So basically, before the sales location per location has decimated, there are a lot of location, big number of Paramount location has shut down entirely because that's what the airport wanted. That's the hospitals. Some of the hospital actually took away the whole food court section to create a COVID-19 section. So yes, Takeout wasn't big to start with, and we had to do a lot of pivoting to really try to create some of the sales. But I'm going to give you just some perspective. Paramount across Canada is around 57 to 59 location, and today there's only 7 to 8 in Ontario open, and 1 in Montreal, 1 in Alberta, and 1 in Vancouver, and that's it. And the rest of them had to close down because of where we are.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's very interesting, and especially with just having to figure out which stores you're going to keep open versus which ones aren't you. Maybe Alex, if you want to kind of add to that.
Yeah, sure. I think that to Mohamad's sentiment, we've had some locations. Our Bancock-Barrie Union Station obviously had to close just because of the sheer amount of traffic that goes through there. We've when I look at all of our brands via Chivo, we're still operating 4 of the 9 locations. Burgers Priest is predominantly still open. We've closed a couple locations just to be able to manage staff in areas where we felt we could consolidate, sales volume. We've, as a company, we do quite a bit of off-premise sales. So, even before this all started, takeout and delivery was probably about 50% of sales across our entire system, with the exclusion of our location at Union Station. But otherwise, it's been a big part of our business. It's certainly not my favorite part of the business, even before all this started, but it's certainly a necessity that has allowed us to be successful in certain markets in Toronto. We've got locations that range, on the Burgers Priest side, they're as big as 2,000 square feet to as small as, our smallest location is 350 square feet in the beaches, and everything in between, 600 to 800 square feet. So those locations are built and designed for off-premise. And so we've had a lot of experience in the world of off-premise over the last couple of years.
Well, that's good. I mean, for you guys, having that already that foothold in the off-premise world, I'm sure has been a big help to getting to this point with just everything going on.
Yeah.
And Tom, with the clients that you work with, how have you kind of see? I know you've been working on sort of like a task force specifically with this as a focus right now. So what have you been seeing?
Well, I just hello to everybody once again. And in the fast casual concept and the QSR concept, we normally had a pretty good flow of takeout and delivery and catering. But since in the sit down segment, it wasn't as good as fast casuals, right? Right now with the task force, we're really focused on takeout and delivery, and hoping to do a lot better than what we have been doing.
For sure. And I think just to kind of go in on this point a little bit deeper, you talked about, with Paramount, usually it's 57, 59 stores, but right now there's only 7 to 8 open. How did you decide which stores to keep open, which ones to not? And how do those discussions work with landlords, payments? I'm sure a lot of people are dealing with that right now. So I think a lot of people would probably be interested to hear, what you guys are doing about that.
Well, just to add as well to the other fellow CEOs, I mean, even as you know, Paramount has the bigger amount of location is Paramount casual dining, but it's not a QSR. Even with the QSR ones, that some of them are doing very well, but the ones that are located, even if we were set for delivery, the ones that are located in areas where predominantly, like our customers are offices and lawyers and businesses more than actually residential, those got affected much more than suburb Mississauga, Markham, Scarborough, that they're doing very well comparing to the other one, but none of them are doing well to start with. Again, the one that are closed, a lot of the landlord are taking a position, and I'm actually communicating with a lot of CEOs in the market, and we're actually talking to each other to see how the landlord are acting with one brand or towards the others. A lot of the landlord are sending basically those letters talking about deferral. Some of them are requesting us to sign back a deferral. Others are not. They're saying for now we're deferring and we'll deal with it after. And we'll work week by week on decisions. You have to imagine how many phone calls you have to make as a CEO because they want to hear it from you. And some of them, they're refusing to even deal with it. They're saying, no, give us percentage, give us this, give us that. Or they're saying, let's defer this month of April, but I need in writing that you guys are going to pay May, for example. And, as we all know, we're dealing with a franchisee, we're dealing with the small business owners, we're dealing with families wanting to meet ends meet, and that's not easy. So as Paramount, we actually took away entire royalty. We took away all the marketing money right away. We did not defer it. We actually completely waived it for the month of March. We're going to look at April and probably do as well the same thing to help them. And that was very important. But for landlords, there is some ridiculous letter. One of them is funny. I actually was planning to post it, and without putting the landlord out there for now, because I'm not shy to put people out there. So one of the question came is, what is your plan as Paramount to reinstate your sales back to normal, right? And I'm like, I'm baking basically a vaccine in my oven with a pita. Like, I don't know, like, how do you answer that? So I actually, so I called them back and I said, look, I could do two things. I can post it on Twitter or we can agree that you're not sending me stupid questions like this. And so like what do you want me to do? Like, right? Look, we are a company that our DNA has been always people first. And people first, including landlords are partners, franchisees are partners, and suppliers are partners if everyone acts reasonable, right? And people could come out of that circle of partnership if they start not acting reasonable, to make sure we all come out together out of this one. And that's my answers to all the landlords. I can't ask my franchisee to sign a deferral. I cannot ask them to sign anything now. My recommendation to them not to sign anything at all, and it's up to you if you want to really change the lock. So far, we've been lucky. Our partners, we've been with them for 12, 13 years, and they're acting reasonable with us. I have only one or two I'm dealing with that they're a little bit harder, but so far it's been good.
Yeah, and Alex, I guess, for you as well, you mentioned the Union Station location obviously had to go, but tell us a little bit more.
Well, we did the same thing. We have a couple franchisees on the Via Chibo and Bangkok Burry banners, and we automatically stopped all royalty payments and really try to guide them through some of the decisions that they needed to make, whether to stay open or be closed. Because we operate a lot of corporate restaurants, we were going through the same challenges, obviously, that our franchise operators were going through. So a lot of communication. I can tell you that from the landlord side, this is the biggest domino, if you will, that people have been waiting to fall over. And immediately we came out, I think as an industry, I'm part of an initiative called One Table, and we came out and we were, we were really advocating for the restaurant industry, especially independent operators, individual franchisees that are an important part of communities, really advocating to try and get some immediate relief on the, obviously on the employment side. All the people that work in the restaurants, I think that was the number one goals, and the government's come out and done, has put out a pretty good package. There's still some details that need to be worked through. But the biggest one that's been hanging over our heads is the relationship with the landlords. And it's, as Mohamad said, it's an individual conversation with each and every one of them. I've gone on record and said that deferral is not acceptable to me. Like, I don't care in my organization if I have to be the bad guy. I can't accept deferral. If we're operating, we are absolutely required to pay some level of rent, but it's got to make sense. And my number one priority is to employ people. That's the number one priority through this. People that are willing to work, and we can guarantee we can keep safe. The priority is to employ people. And also, we are part of the supply chain, right? Restaurants are an important part of the supply chain, especially as we go deeper into a crisis like this. So, we've got a huge responsibility. And so the landlords are tied into that relationship. And fortunately for us, we've got a lot of relationships in downtown Toronto with smaller landlords. They probably own the buildings longer, and we're opening our books. We're showing them. If we're down in sales by X, we'd like to see a reduction by X. And, we're looking for abatement on the rest of it. And the biggest challenge I think is going to come, Mohamad's probably doing the exact same thing. Like we're just telling we're not paying the ones that we're unable to reach an agreement with at this point, just because we have other bills that we need to pay at this point in time. And number one is, like I said, is keeping the people employed versus having to shut those restaurants down, because it's not a business proposition right now. It's definitely about the employment side. So those individual conversations are important. I think the bigger conversation though is going to be post this getting behind us, and what do we do as an industry to open up thousands of restaurants? I mean, in 2 weeks we lost $2 billion in the restaurant industry. The first 2 weeks of going through this crisis, that's massive. What are we going to do as an industry? Mohamad's got 57 locations. We've got 36 locations. How are we going to open all these locations? How's everybody going to come together during this time? And where's the resources going to come from to open these locations? The rehiring, the restocking, the retraining. It's going to be a monumental task, and it's something we need to do, but we're going to need some help when it comes to that, because it's the last piece of the puzzle once we get through this landlord issue that's hanging over all of our heads. And everybody was waiting for April 1st to come around to see what was going to happen. So you got to work it through. They are partners. We will work it through with them, and hopefully it'll be the right decision for small business in Canada here.
Yeah, no, it's
so I don't take it away from Tom, because we want to hear from Tom as well. But I agree with you, Alex, for sure. The decision, and I'm telling you from here, a shout out to all the small restaurant owner individually, even the one that they're not part of a franchise, do not pay a penny unless you have an acceptable agreement. It's going to be long, and the cash is king at this time, and your people are your most important asset, for sure, 100%. Don't let anybody else tell you anything else. Your people. And we run a company where I always say, including people sometimes don't agree with me, to CEOs, customer is not first. To CEOs, your people are first, and your people will look after your customer.
That's right.
And that's the most important part. And for the landlord that they actually think can evict us, someone like Paramount or Alex or any brand, MTY or anyone, there's no competition. We're all in it together today.
Yeah.
But if they want to evict us, who's going to rent it from them again? Today is a test of who we are as people and how we're going to act. And if that's the landlord who's acting that way, as Paramount Fine Food, I'm not proud to take a location from a competition because the landlord was not an ethical person. Doing it to them and giving it to me, I will not support that. So landlord, look, I'm a landlord myself, I have a couple plazas, but landlord need to take this as an opportunity to show real partnership. We understand they have their cost. We understand they need some government help as well. But that's not us businesses to support them. We can't support them if we don't have the sales. We have supported them to pay for the building over the last 10, 12 years. We're happy to support them the next 10, 12 years, but this is the time to show leadership from them as well. And work as partners. We're not saying support us fully, but we're saying work in partnership. Otherwise, you evict me, Alex will not take your location. And you evict Alex, I will not take your location.
Well, well, I agree with both of you, Alex and Mohamad, right? Landlords, right now, it's about a humanity issue. If they continue to kind of keep charging, we're going to have a big issue in the end. So I'm together with you guys. The only way for us to move ahead and to accommodate this, what we call the new normal, that they're going to have to just give up whatever 3, 4, 5, 6 months worth of rent until we get back on our feet. Absolutely agree. Now, I normally do not deal with a lot of landlords, but I'm in touch with quite a few franchisees that are in the same boat, and owners of fast casuals, sit-downs. They're all in the same boat. They're not going to pay any rent. If the landlord is going to lock them out, then we have a big issue on our hands. You know, they just don't understand. In order for us to get there, they're going to have to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Yeah. Lastly, I want to add just to that point, because I know we've talked a lot about the landlord relationship. Is government's going to have to get involved here. In terms of mandating that there will be no evictions, but also everyone's running a business, and there's a lot of landlords out there that got families to feed as well. So I think that's where government's going to have to get involved, and it's been lobbying now. It's a big issue right now since it's the beginning of the month. Government's going to have to try and identify some type of solution that's going to help support all the small businesses.
Yeah, and I think on that, I'm very proud of what we've seen conversations so far, because small businesses hasn't got any money in their pockets yet. I think we need to find a faster way and less bureaucratic way. Like when you call, some of our franchisees called BDC, they called the bank for the 40,000, and the bank is saying, show me what you did. Well, there is nothing to show. What we did, we went down in sales 60 to 70%. That's what we did, right? And that's what we did, not because of his burger is not good and my shawarma is not good. So they need to make it easier to get and faster, because when this initiative, even the last night initiative came out, right? Oh, 3 to 6 weeks from now for you to apply. Well, guess what? Those small business owner has held already for 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So what you're asking them to do is to hold more 3 to 6 weeks. That's 2 months. Usually business people, small businesses do not have 3 months and 2 months cash flow to stay on their feet. So they need to move faster. And I agree with Tom, 100%. Brands will not support landlords that act unethically, badly at this time. We all look for friends that will high five when there is a problem. And this is the time where there is a problem, and we'll only after this will support landlord. Landlord will be on reference check from brand that will last to ask their tenant, their previous tenant, how did they act at the time of COVID-19?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of good points. And I mean, the landlord issue, I don't think it's one that it's going to be solved today. It's an ongoing thing. And I know for all small businesses, including our own business, you know, we're looking at all options of how to get money from the government to cover ours, because restaurants are the ones that pay us. And if restaurants aren't making money, then we're definitely not going to be asking for them to be paying us, right? Like it's a domino effect, like you mentioned. You know, you spoke a lot about people, and it's a people first. I think it's a common theme. How have you managed to keep certain staff members, I guess, loyal during this time, keeping ones that you actually can pay? And then also, are you repurposing any that maybe before were specifically dining room related roles, where now, you know, you're moving maybe to the back of house, or you're moving into a position that's helping you with the off-premise sales, or really however it is that you can, you know, still drive revenue? Alex, if you want to jump in first, maybe on this one.
Well, you know, yeah. So obviously, when this all kind of came to fold, you know, our number one priority was the safety of our people, right? And the balance is, over the last couple of weeks, we've put a number of initiatives in place in our restaurants for those restaurants that are open, to make sure that both our employees and our customers are safe. And I'm sure everyone's done it. We've been sharing a lot of information across brands, best practices, communicating regularly with our employees. We speak to our employees every single day at 10 a.m. You know, one of the things we did early on, as well as we monitor the health and wellness of every single employee. We do that every single day right now, pre-shift. And we decided not to, because of the size of our restaurants and where they're located, the ones that we ended up closing down, we didn't repurpose the staff right away. And we're at this point in time, we're not actually sharing staff between locations. And we think that's important. In the event there is an issue at a location and someone does fall ill, knock on wood, we haven't had that happen yet. In the event there is, then we can isolate it to one restaurant, you know, instead of having staff members. So our biggest challenge right now today is, I think, is staff's overall willingness to work. You know, obviously our delivery sales have picked up, so we've shifted, you know, to predominantly mostly delivery. So trying to find staff to work, and also, you know, making sure that the staff that are working and that are getting lots of hours and that want to work, that they also get some time off, some time off to balance all the work that they've been putting into it. So we've got some amazing people on our team, and I think the best communication really is coming from them to us versus us to them, because they see it every single day. And our biggest challenge, I think, is restaurants are not designed to provide physical distancing in the kitchens. That's the biggest challenge, right? I mean, they're designed for efficiency. You want your cook next to your salad station. You want everything kind of nice and close. So that's required us to actually minimize our staffing levels in restaurants, so that there is some space. And in some other restaurants, we've gone to the extent of going in overnight and doing a retrofit and pulling counters forward. And now we're getting plexiglass installed at all of our locations as well for our cashiers. So the key is keeping people safe at the end of all this. It's making sure we've all had to step up our game significantly, and I think that's the one thing that's going to come out of this. That's going to extend itself for a long period of time. Is everyone's focused on safety and the well-being of both employees and customers.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the plexiglass, I think that's something you're seeing from grocery stores, convenience stores, restaurants. I think that's going to become the new standard even whenever this is over. So definitely, Mohamad, anything to add on that, just about how you guys are managing with employees?
Yeah. Yes, it's a bit different because the percentage of sit down for us is much bigger. So we had several stage approach. So the first stage, number one, we brought all the executives that wanted to work to the location hands-on, so we can make sure that they're creating more positive experience for the hourly staff, because all of us now are faced with an issue where staff do not want to work at all because they feel to come out, it's not safe. And absolutely what Alex says, our kitchen are meant to be squeezed and staffed beside each other so they can communicate better. And that doesn't work well. I don't think our kitchen is more than 1.5 times the 2 meter. A lot of us for the smaller locations. So we want to make sure that actually they're closer. Absolutely. So we did that. The second part, the people that they still want to work, but want to be alone, we asked them to actually get a driving license, basically a special insurance if they would like to do delivery themselves. Instead of the curbside, we can introduce the curbside pickup. But as well, we asked them if they would like to be alone in the car and still do the work that way. So to repurpose them. It was impossible to keep everyone due to the decline of the number of locations. And that was the biggest moment for me. Like someone that, like I literally felt, am I gonna get to a point where everything I lived for and everything I was, and I'm still known for, people and purpose before profit, and profit will follow. Am I gonna look like a lip service person more than actual person that believed in it? Look, I'm a CEO today, but I'm real staffer more than a CEO dressed up in a suit, right? I lived in a basement apartment. I enjoy more cleaning table than being behind a border, behind a desk. And it did hit me that I might be getting to a point, like in the first instance, we said we're gonna be paying full, especially the people who get ill, the people who are looking after an ill person in their family. Then we found out, and we applied already for getting a permit to do a top up, like after you lay them off, so the government can take off our hands some of the cash flow, 55%, and we'll do a top up because we do not want our families, and in this case, our team, that the one that afraid to come work, to actually be in that situation that they're going to 55% of their salary and limited to a certain amount, percentage of their salary only covered. So it was very difficult psychologically on me. It was very hard. Like, these are my people. They come before me, and this is the people who made me who I am today, and here I am. And again, the government initiative are too long. And if you don't maintain your company up and running and successful, then you're not doing anyone a favor, because your real intention, and I'm sure Alex feel the same way in a lot of points, your real intention is to maintain your company up and running and successful. When it comes that light and you reopen, to rehire them all and even more and open more businesses. So company first, people first, and it was a very big decision. So we reached out to some CEOs, friend of Sobi, like the CEO of Sobi is a friend of mine, the CEO of Raba, the founder of Raba is a very close friend of mine. And we actually put an offer to some of the staff that we can't really find jobs for, and we do not want them to go on the 55%. So Sobeys and Raba offered them a temporary job, and whoever wanted to work, applied for that we couldn't accommodate as much as we can. And whoever not, we're still waiting for the permit to top up, and we will top up as long as we financially can, but while we protecting the company, not from a selfish point of view, but from a point of view of rehiring.
Definitely, yeah. No, it's, I mean, for you, especially with that many stores closing, it's a totally different situation, and obviously some unique complexities that come with that in terms of staffing. Tom, have you seen with some of your clients and people, obviously everyone knows about the layoffs, but any specifics that kind of that have been coming up?
Well, I just want to touch up on landlord situation and what we're working on with the task force for phase 2. Phase 2 is going to be rolling out probably late next week on our website, helpformyrestaurant.com. There will be a piece there on what the restaurateurs can look forward to with the landlords, what's legal, what's not. This was done by a legal company, a lawyer's firm that was sent to us. That's going to be on the website, as well as we are coming up with a POS solution for all the restaurants who want to do contactless payment, delivery, accommodating the new norm, as we call it, for curbside delivery, for pickup. For instance, if somebody orders a curbside pickup, our system that we're proposing in phase 2 will, with the Wi-Fi and the phones, will show you that John Smith is outside waiting for his pickup order. You just go in and drop off the pickup order on the curb, and John Smith can pick it up. Now, he's paid for it already. There's no contact. We're working on that next for the next phase 2. So yes, absolutely. I don't like I says, I know Mohamad and Alex have employees. I used to have employees many years ago, but lately not. I just kind of visit restaurants. And yes, it's very important to communicate with your employees and make sure that their safety always comes first. And that's the ones that's going to bring you all the guest experience that we're looking for at all times.
So one of the things that Tom, you touched on there, and this kind of leads me to the next question, is about technology. Obviously, just bringing this back to kind of the takeout, delivery, and off-premise stuff. Technology has been a big component of that, and this isn't new for COVID-19. This started a couple of years ago with the battles between whether it's Uber Eats, DoorDash, Foodora, Postmates, whatever it is. They take their fees, they take their cuts. I guess maybe we'll start with Alex. What has it been like for you? Because I know for your business, this was saying that you guys were using technology very heavily in off-premise beforehand. How has it changed? How has it changed? And what's been kind of the strategy today with everything going on?
Well, for us, a big focus over the last little while, because we've been working with the aggregators for a while. So the challenge is now your sales are down. Whether you're closed, obviously, if you're closed, your sales are down significantly. And even for us, our sales are down quite a bit. But a good chunk of those sales, I'd say almost 85% to 90% of them now are going online, which means that we pay a significant commission on. So it's certainly not a viable model over the long term. One of the things that we did early on that really helped us is that we actually we invested in integration with Uber first. We're trying to work with Skip for a while, but we got integrated well over a year ago with Uber. And that was something that's been really, really strong for us because, from a volume standpoint, we're doing the volume that we did before and what we're doing now. There's less errors being made in terms of repunching orders back into the POS system. And it's just a much more fluid approach to the operations. A big thing for us, though, is we're pushing our own app, right? We are going to be launching curbside delivery here in the next week or so. But we're really just pushing our own app and getting people to, especially if it's for takeout, to pre-order. We're trying to limit, obviously, a few of our restaurants now, especially our smaller restaurants. We've actually put buzzers on the doors so we can limit how many customers are in at one time. The biggest challenge, though, in terms of the physical distancing requirements, has been the drivers, is getting them to respect what we're all going through, and especially when there's a customer in the restaurant or there's a few customers in the restaurant. And it's always been an issue with all drivers in terms of how they represent your brand. And a lot of times they would just go directly to the cash. If there's a lineup of customers, their order is the most important. So we made an investment probably about 16 months ago at all of our restaurants where we actually removed the pickup area for drivers from the POS area. So most of our restaurants have a separate window. Some of them, the drivers come in through the back. But really the challenge now in the environment is really getting them to step up their game. You know, there's a lot of drivers that don't show up with the bags with thermal bags to keep the product warm. You know, we won't let an order go out if they don't have one. And you know, we've worked diligently, especially with Uber and Skip and obviously DoorDash, to get them to communicate to their drivers and respect that there will be a timing of how people are being entered in the restaurant, especially at our high volume restaurants that are smaller. You know, we're controlling the flow of people into the restaurant. And you know what? People are thankful for it. Under this environment, I think everybody has to work together. And, you know, and I know drivers all have a job to do as well, and they're trying to get as much product out as possible, and they're very, very busy. But we've got to really make sure that we manage the driver relationship quite closely. And so it's working out. I'd say the last week, we've kind of hit a baseline as a company, and we're pretty comfortable with where things are going. And a lot of the measures that we're put in place are now, you know, it's really kind of built itself into our DNA, so how it's sort of rehashed itself here in the last 2 weeks.
Sure. So for you guys, you know, it was something that you were already doing. So it's been, I would hope, you know, the curve's been a little bit different, but for Mohamad, for you guys, dining was a big part of your business. How is, you know, it changed with using some technology or different application partners?
Well, I mean, I don't want to add too much above what Alex said, because we have all the delivery platforms we're using. We have communicated with them about the drivers, you know. Drivers act the way they act. They're still our frontline heroes as well. They're putting their life at risk, and definitely they need to do better job. I agree with Alex 100%. We are using UEats for the curbside pickup and to actually make sure that the drivers, the workers at Paramount that wanted to do driving more, and they're helping us a lot in the curbside. It's been great. So for anyone who's not using those type of methodology for curbside, which is UEats and lower percentages, that's a good idea. Our head office, we're doing virtual restaurant walkthrough with teamwork and with our team to make sure. So every morning, 9 a.m., 10:45 and 3:45, we have 4 people showing us their restaurants. We're doing the walkthrough virtually. So we see the readiness of the store, we see everything, and we're relying on apps like MeazureUp to do something like this, which is it's been very helpful to us. And look, we just launched a great initiative. We launched a new menu called Dare to Care menu that is only going to be for 4 weeks. We dropped our prices because, again, what Tom said, we went to lawyers. Lawyers said the landlord leases are protected. There's a couple clauses, you look for them, but 80% of them are not verifying to us. We had 2 lawyers looking at them. Same thing for your insurance company. A virus and a pandemic is not covered. Yeah. So we made a decision basically that we're not paying if we don't get to. So we made a decision that 8% rent is now deferred. And therefore, to help the community and to help the Canadian families for their dollar to stretch farther, we actually dropped our prices for week-to-week basis. Like the first 2 weeks, we're creating this Dare to Care menu, and we're going to extend it another 2 weeks. And that created a lot of sales. So guest count went up around the 25% yesterday towards last week, same day. Sales has gone up like approximately 18%. So if we can help Canadian families by dropping our prices and create more cash flows to our company using that 7, 8, 9% of rent, you know, for us that we were not in the takeout business as a bigger percentage, it worked very well. And it's 2 ways. Paramount, part of our DNA is working with our community. So making available that healthy food, you know, fresh food at low, with $5 to $15 maximum a full meal, right? It's a very good for the family, for the Canadian families, and it's good for Paramount franchisee to create cash flow. On the other side, we dropped our food cost. We give discounted from our master kitchen, which is a commissary that distribute the food, around 2 to 3% as well for our franchisee, so we can keep them holding, because our promise to them that we're all in this together, and I want to come out with all of them with me in it. So I do not want to come out of the pandemic that I lost some of our family members, which is our franchisee here. So that had worked very well for the people that they're seeing big drop in sales. try it, take the percentage of the rent that you save, try to drop it from your prices, create a menu. The quick question is, what if the customer expected after the pandemic? Well, I'm not dealing with after the pandemic until I get there. What I'm dealing with is your family dollar need to be stretched farther. I want to help the Canadian family that supported me to be who we are today. And at the same time, create cash flow coming back to our company.
Yeah, no, it's good points. I'm going to shift now to some of the questions that we've been receiving from some of the audience. So the first question, this is just a quick one, relates directly to what we were just speaking about. This comes from Amanda with Spur Group, actually in South Africa. She's wondering, with all the off-premise, has Uber or Skip or any of the companies given you any discounts on the normal fees that they would charge? Yeah.
I'll take that. So, it took some time for us to go back and forth with them. Uber Eats has provided a plan right across the country where they're essentially covering free delivery, but they have not touched their commissions. Skip the Dishes actually has. They've instituted a plan for independent and small chain operators across the country, where for 30 days they'll be rebating 15% of the commission back to the operators. So that's pretty significant. I mean, we were one of the early brands to join some of these platforms a few years ago, and even some of the other businesses and restaurants that we're involved with do some very, very high volume in Toronto. And so there's varying rates of commissions that are out there depending on who you are and when you got started, and your offering. So, let's face it, on the low end, it's going to be somewhere between 15%, and on the high end, it's going to be 30 to 35% commission that they charge. So, what Skip the Dishes has done is pretty good. Challenge is that they all have their strengths in different markets, right? Uber's a little stronger in terms of volume in Toronto, and Skip the Dishes is much more prevalent in the suburbs. So, for us, a lot of our locations are obviously in downtown Toronto and the greater Toronto area, but they're starting to share information. I'm hoping after this that we can get a lot more insight into the data that they have available to them. But I think, and Mohamad touched on it as well. The drivers are doing a great job, and they've really stepped up. So I think we're all learning how to coexist in this new environment right now, how to work together and make sure that people are fed. And so, that's as far as they've gone on my end. As I'm not sure if they've done anything different from Mohamad.
No, it's the same thing. Absolutely. Yeah, it is the same thing, and their strength is different. And look, Alex said something in the beginning, and it went fast. Nobody probably paid attention how important that sentence was. Like, takeout and delivery is something that restaurateurs don't prefer.
No.
Like, I want to take off the barbecue from the charcoal and serve it in front of me.
Yeah.
And I want to remove my pita, big balloon, puffy and hot, and
Nice
give it
and
to the
fresh.
customer. And what I love about this business, like, I love the food, but what I love is the interaction, and that we missed, and that psychologically affects us. So really, psychologically, we're dealing with our landlords, our staff. Psychologically, our business model changed, and psychologically, the happiness of doing the business is gone, right? But we love what we do, and we're looking forward to those days that we do it again the same way, right? Interact directly with people, be close, tell people in person how we feel about it.
Yeah. You're bang on.
Another question just relating, guys, whoever wants to pick these up. Has anyone for employees been providing any hazard pay or additional pay to their hourly teams? Is it standard pay? What's everybody kind of seeing or doing?
So what we started, one of the things that we're doing is a little differently. We started a meal program right away, kind of when this happened. So we allow every one of our staff members gets a free meal during their shift, and they get a free meal when they get home, and they also get to come in and eat free on any day of their day off at any one of our restaurants. So that was one of the initial initiatives that we put in. And the other thing that we're doing right now is we're analyzing the tip pool. So we do get quite a bit of tips. And the tips on average make up somewhere in the range of about $2 per hour additional for our hourly wage employees. And that goes directly to the hourly wage employees, and it's based on how many hours those employees work. So we're actually, as a company right now, looking at an opportunity to bring the tip pool up in our restaurants where it was before the pandemic started, because we've seen it pretty much get cut in half. So that's something that we're doing. The other thing that's been pretty interesting actually is Skip the Dishes launched a community support initiative that allows people that are ordering through Skip the Dishes to tip the restaurant directly. So it also adds to, it's another tip function. So listen, I'm talking to a lot of people out there that are so grateful for what everybody is doing on the front lines. Obviously our healthcare workers, the grocery clerks, the truck drivers, the list goes on, including our employees in the restaurants, right? So I think there's a lot of people, there's a sentiment out there that they can't wait to go out and eat at their favorite restaurants again and tip people and make sure that, all the losses that people are going through, that, that they can do their part in helping people get back on their feet. So that's what we're doing as a company. And it's been very, very well received by our staff. And now we're looking at, obviously, as some new measures that were put out by the government on Friday, and we got the details late yesterday afternoon. We're looking at other opportunities of how we could support not just our hourly staff, but also our managers.
Awesome. Yeah, we only have about 5 minutes left, and we have quite a few questions here. So I'm going to try and pick another one. Several of the distributors have pivoted, obviously, from restaurants, to serving a lot of grocery stores as their sales have kind of gone up with everything that's happening. How do you keep the conversation going with distributors, even while you're closing a lot of stores, or you're not providing the same level of sales that you normally would or have been expected to?
Well, I think distributor had to shift. Some of them were only food service, right? And they had to start selling to hospitals, to sell to even to grocery stores, and their sales are more. But look, I don't think any of the restaurateurs worried that the distributor will turn their back on them.
Yeah.
And if the distributor do, well, we say in French, tant pis, will arrange. That's not our biggest focus. I think the distributor is their time as well to show us who they are and how they act with us. Not only on them, like imagine, like if I've worked with someone for 13 years, bought $20 to $25 million a year from them, or even $10 million, and they're gonna turn their back now, they'll do me a favor to find out who they are really. I mean, from every way, I'm expecting from the distributor that they're getting sales from the grocer to turn around and extend our terms for our franchisees so they can help their cash flow. No, I don't think this is a concern, how they deal with it. We're expecting actually that they will make their money more from the grocery, and they try to hold our food cost not higher as a restaurant. We are the one who got punched in the face. Like Tyson said, we all had a plan until we got punched in the face. We did get punched in the face. And we need everyone, our partners, to show that they're real partners.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. I mean, if you're already doing business with them and they're going to leave you now, then when the times are bad, you definitely don't want to be with them when the times are good.
But even if they leave our least fortunate, if they leave my neighbor, if a big supplier delivering to me and to my next door neighbor that is independent, and they do something with them, I better really review that relationship. I better see if this is the kind of people I want to support and partner with.
So one, I guess, well, just based on the time, we can only probably do one more question here. One of the positives during this time has been social media outreach. A lot of brands are doing a lot of marketing to convey to customers the steps that you're taking to support the community and also to ensure safety for customers with the food. What are you guys doing in terms of marketing to make sure customers are aware of, where they can order and what you're doing to ensure safety?
Ray, can I take that for a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. What I've been coaching and teaching on is, even if whatever you send out the employees to do a little video, a shot of their food, telling the guests out there that yes, we're open for business, we are doing takeout and delivery, we're here to give you the best. The only thing is you just got to get it out there more in terms of all the social media outlets out there, right? A lot of them are doing mega posts on Instagram, LinkedIn, and follow with the rest, right? Now, that's been pretty happening to people that I know with, especially I have one concept in Cambridge. They've been probably about 3 posts a day. So this guy's been pretty busy on takeout and delivery. I know he shut down for a couple of weeks due to, to kind of take a little break. But yeah, his takeout and delivery has been great. And he's been using his own delivery drivers, which helps a lot with, not paying out large to other companies, that third-party companies. Very, very successful in that.
Any other final comments from any?
Yeah, I think video. Yeah, I think video material is traveling better. So more videos out. Absolutely, I agree. But Paramount, since our inception, we have given the police, the fire, and the EMS 50%. At the beginning of the pandemic, we decided to include our frontline heroes. And then mostly our marketing is not marketing, is the partners that we're partnering with. We kept one of our kitchen in the Paramount Fine Food Center open only to cook for shelters and homeless and hospitals. So weekly, we're taking 3 to 4 orders. You touched on a lot of a product in a lot of restaurants going bad. Well, why is it going bad? Why aren't we cooking it and giving it to the homeless and to the shelters? Why aren't we coming together as a restaurant? There's no competition anymore. This is not a competition anymore. It's us coming together. So if you have a product that's going bad and you have staff that you want them to feel that they're part of this, we have a schedule 4 to 5 days a week where we deliver home to homeless, we deliver to shelters, we deliver to hospital food, and bring it to that kitchen in the Paramount Center so it doesn't stop your operation, doesn't make it more complicated for you. We'll cook it with you, we'll cook it alone without you, and we'll send it on your behalf and put it out there, because the people of this country has helped me and helped every one of us. And we all know them. They will only support companies that they're good with the community. They're only gonna support companies that they're good to their people. And we have that opportunity. I'm very proud to see people like Build It by Design, for example. They have a new initiative to help the frontline heroes. People like Get Rescue, they have a great initiative to help the frontline heroes. People like Chef Hero, they have a great initiative to help. I'm seeing all these young entrepreneurs helping the community and understanding that we're only gonna be successful after this, and the Canadian will only support companies that has done great for their community. I'm telling you again, I've been through a civil war. This will end and the light will come. The light for all of us Canadians will come. And I can't stop smiling because we're being tested. I hope we will come out of this much closer and less understanding that we're less as competitive, that we're all together as in one industry and one community and one country. This is a place, Canada is a place of hope and will always be. So please, number one, please stay home and please stay healthy, but most importantly, stay positive. The light will come and we'll all do it again, we'll hire again, and we'll get to meet our client, Alex, our customers, we'll get to meet them again and celebrate with them being in front of us in person. So thank you very much for the opportunity for joining you today.
Thank you also, Alex, as well. Thank you also, guys. And we are going to get better because of this. Okay, go ahead, Ray.
No, I was just going to say, just final remarks. Yeah.
Tom, any final remarks before I do?
Yeah, Tom or Alex, either one.
I just want to say, you know what, we are going to be stronger and better because of this. So continue to, as Mohamad says, stay home. Let's kick this COVID-19 and move on.
My perspective, I just want to take off of Mohamad's sentiments. I mean, I was asked a couple of days ago, what would you tell people that were just about to start a new business or just got into business and all of a sudden they got sideswiped by something like this? We will come out of this stronger. This entire industry, certainly the hospitality industry and all small business across this country, we're going to feel this. There's no doubt about it. There's going to be a mark left across the landscape of small businesses across this country, but we will come out of this stronger. We are banding together, the independent restaurant operators, the large chains, the mid-sized chains, everybody. It's amazing to see how much everybody is coming together and sharing insights. And, you know, we all want to see each other succeed, because at the end of the day, we have to. For the economy of this country, we have to succeed. We've got to work together. And anybody who's, you know, on the verge, who just started a business or is thinking about starting a business, now's the time to revisit that business plan. And you know what? If you can endure this, you'll endure anything that the average business day will throw at you. So, and you will. So stay positive, people. I think that we are definitely gonna come out of this stronger, and we're gonna learn a lot from it for sure.
I just want to say one last thing to everyone who's starting a business. Well, this is a growing pain. I have a son that is 5 years old and wakes up in the middle of the night crying, and I don't know what's the problem. It's a growing pain. When you're getting taller, it hurts. And now this is a growing pain. So we're growing as a community, we're growing as an industry, and we're growing as a country. So you should smile when there is a growing pain and understand tomorrow there's going to be better days. This is only a growing pain. And this is the test if we deserve to be in this industry, if you deserve to be an entrepreneur. So smile and go through that growing pain, because we're going to be stronger for sure. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Stay safe.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Tom, Alex, and Mohamad, for joining us today. I think everybody really appreciated it. I can see the messages coming in. Some great insights. And, you know, we're hearing it from, you know, it's not the front lines of the health industry, but you guys are really at the front lines of the restaurant industry, which is in a lot of ways the lifeblood of what, you know, our countries are built on. So thank you guys for taking the time, and we'll send out a follow-up. We're going to send a recap with a video of the entire presentation and a copy of the deck. And if there's any questions, send to us, and we can direct them to Mohamad, Alex, or Tom after the fact.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Alex. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Have a good day. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks.